Morning, guys. Morning. Welcome back to my show. I hope you're all doing awesome. I hope you're all having a really, really great week. I wanted to talk about some of my 5-star plus reads for this year so far. We'll have to take a look at this spreadsheet, but I think 75 to 78 books. We'll take a look here in a second and see how many books it is that I've read so far this year. Probably going to hit about 150. That's what I'm thinking. I imagine July is going to be a fairly slow month for me because I'm going for about half of the month on vacation. But who knows? I might surprise myself and read a whole lot on my vacation, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, I want to talk about, since we're halfway through the year, some of my 5-star plus reads for 2023. So let me put my little screen recording in here for you guys so we can talk about some of these awesome books. Okay, so if you follow my channel, if this isn't your first time coming across one of my videos, then I am afraid none of this is probably going to be new news to you. Because I talk about all of these books that I've given 5-star plus a lot. Like a lot. Not just a little bit. So, I digress. What makes a 5-star plus book for me? Great storytelling. Incredible characters. It leaves me with the feeling that I don't want this book to end. That's a big one. I've read some good books that I did give 5 stars to, but when the book ended, I was like, okay, that was excellent. I'm ready to move on from there. Like, I felt completed by the storytelling. I didn't need more. I didn't live in the world, because I think a couple of you will be surprised that Wish You Were Here by J.D. Picoult, which I raved about back in January, February, only got 5 and not 5-star plus. The reason for that is I did think it was an excellently written book. I did thoroughly enjoy that book. But I thought it was good. It had a good beginning, a good middle, and I loved the cliffhanger ending. But I didn't need any more of it. I thought it was perfect the way that it was. It was a 5-star book, but I didn't need to put that plus in there. It just didn't stay with me that long. Whereas 5-star plus books stayed with me a long time. So, to start it off, the first 2 5+ books that I read this year, and why, are Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson and Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. These books were so brilliantly written. I remember every emotion that I felt while reading them. There are literally at least 4 scenes I can think of in these 2 books that just strike something in me. I remember finishing Way of Kings, and also, full disclosure, there are going to be tons of spoilers in this video, so hopefully you've read most of these books. But I remember there being a scene in Way of Kings at the end when Kaladin and Dalinar are standing before the people, and Sidious won't give the Bridgemen to Dalinar to be his people, and Kaladin is just like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is how I die. People have let him down so much in his life that he has just kind of given up. He's just conceded that this is just, Dalinar is just another man that is going to let him down. And that scene, I can picture it in my head, that Brandon Sanderson writes, where Dalinar gives his shard blade to Sidious to say, I'll swap you. I am keeping the men of Bridge 4. In fact, I'm keeping all of the men on the bridges. You can have my shard blade, this thing that you've coveted the whole book. And Kaladin is just shocked because no one has ever not let him down. And here is this man who actually is what he says he is, and actually is the man that he claims to be. One of the reasons why Dalinar Kholin is one of my favorite literary characters of all time. Y'all can have Kaladin. Y'all can have, Kelsier. I'm going to stay in the Dalinar Kholin lane for life. When I was younger, I might have, been a Adolin or Kaladin kind of girl. But no. In my 30s, I like a man with honor. I like a man who is what he says he is and doesn't go back on what he says he's going to do, who walks the walk and talks the talk, and Dalinar Kholin is it for me. That book was so fucking good. It had no right to be that good. And it's not even my favorite of the series. No. Because here comes book 2, Words of Radiance. And it just picks up right at the end of Way of Kings. I love when a book 2 does that. I hate when there's like a time jump or a jump where a bunch of stuff is missed, or now you've got to remember what happened with these characters. I kind of ran into that a little bit recently. No, there was no time missed. From the end of Way of Kings to the beginning of Words of Radiance, you are right there invested. And then you come to the scene at I think it's a stadium. It's like it's where the fighters are fighting. And Adolin is in the ring and he has been tricked. And now he is fighting 3 shard bearers. And he is going to die, and all of his shard is going to be ruined. And he is just, he's done, man. All of his talk, and he's just done. He's been tricked into a bad situation. And Dalinar is looking around, and he's like, do none of you have any honor? And Kaladin stands up. It's that epic scene. And he says, honor is dead, but I'll see what I can do. And he yeets himself into that pit, that arena, to defend Adolin and fight alongside him, despite the fact that he has no shard. Kaladin doesn't at this time. And it's just such an amazing scene. And then there's just the epic book 2-ness of Words of Radiance, in that it's everybody all come together. Like, it's why I love the second movie in Lord of the Rings, because you've got your whole party and now you've brought them together, and I just it's so freaking good. I just love a book 2. I have always said I am a book 2 girly, because book 1 you're learning the world, book 1 you're learning the characters, by book 2 you care, you're invested in these characters. I have gone on for far too long about Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, but Jesus, if you read any 2 books off of this list, I recommend those 2 were 5+ reads for me. The rest of the series fell between the 4 and 5 category for me. Those two will absolutely never cease to be two of my favorite books. Up next, we have another one of my favorite books, and I did a reread on it this year. I have not read this book in quite a few years. Grabbing my water. Taking a refreshing hydration sip. Okay. I have not reread Outlander in a few years, but I wanted to take my first trip into annotating books, and I thought, this is the book that I want to do it on. I also got a really cool paperback copy from like a book swap event. I have a hardback copy of Outlander that is my baby, but I found a really nice paperback copy of Outlander. And so I was like, okay, I can annotate this and feel like comfortable and feel like I'm not too concerned about damaging the book. And just a great foray into my first kind of try at this. And every freaking time that I read that book, it just blows me away every time. It is, if you ask me, it is historical romance at its highest point, because you have history, you have medical information from, Claire's healing things that she does and nurse stuff. You have culture, a whole culture of the Highlands at that time. You have the romance that cannot be touched, which is Jamie Fraser and Claire Beecham. That cannot be touched for me, personally. They will forever be my OTP. Like, I have fantasy OTPs that I, live and die on, but this was my original OTP, my one true pairing. And I still go hard for Jamie and Claire. There's some lines in that book that will make me cry. Some things that Jamie says to Claire that I have yearned for in my life. And I didn't even know until I read it for the first time at 19 that was something that I needed in a significant other. So yeah, this book is and will always be a 5-star plus read for me because of the characters, because of the world, and just the vast amount of information in it. It is just such an incredible, incredible book, and I absolutely devour it and leave no crumbs every time I read it. It's so freaking good. Another one that was a 5+ read for me, and I have not talked a whole lot about it this year. I did a review on it, and I said that I really fucking enjoyed it, but it's a book that stuck with me. Like, I read a lot of books, and it shouldn't surprise you that it's a Kristen Hanna book, because I have also read The Nightingale by hers, and it's a 5+ read. I didn't read that this year. That was a 5+ read from years ago. Probably 5 years ago now. But I picked up The Night Road at a thrift store for $1. But it was a Kristen Hanna, so I was like, oh, freak yeah, I'm going to read this book. And it blew me away, and I knew that it was going to. I should have known that it was going to. The pain that Kristen Hanna is able to express on paper, the way that she can write human turmoil. If you ask me, she's the best out there doing it. If you want a heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, make you sob until you can't quite catch your breath book, pick you up a Kristen Hanna novel. Because it's gonna do that for you. And I did, in fact, sob uncontrollably reading The Night Road. It is a story of, well, that's the great thing. It's a story of a lot of things. You can take whatever point of view that you relate to the most. You can take the point of view of the mother, or you can take the point of view of the three teenagers. Whichever one, it's told through all of them. And it's a story about overcoming your past traumas. It is a story about true friendship and love. It is a story about being a parent and how to parent as your children get older. It is a story about mistakes and owning up to your mistakes. It is a story about sacrifice. It is a story about a lot of things. The Night Road is just a impeccable coming of age novel that I highly recommend to anyone, especially somebody who is maybe graduating high school area, or on the reverse side is going to really signify with the parent and has a child who is graduating high school kind of time frame in their life. So I'd say women in their late 30s, early 40s, or a teenager getting ready to graduate high school. Either of those two genres are really going to connect with this novel, though I think it's for everybody. I think this book is for everybody. Those two particular people, genres of people, are going to be left on their knees sobbing. Next up on my 5+ is Fourth Wing. You guys are so sick of me talking about it. It is finally in its place where it belongs. I did a short in case you missed the short. We finally found a hard copy right there. Shout out to the husband for coming through with a hardback copy of Fourth Wing. It is stunning. It is beautiful. It has maps in it. And that was kind of why I wanted it, because I have it, like I said, on my Kindle. That is how I read it, the Kindle format originally. And I needed a hardback copy for my shelf. I needed it in my life for the maps that I knew were on the covers. It was something I needed. So I looked for months and I finally got lucky. Got very lucky, because I know people who are still looking. And what makes this a 5+ read for me? What has literally made me love this book so much is that I think it is YA fantasy done the way that YA fantasy should be done, which is that the main female MC is not this, perfect, helpless, needs to be saved kind of MC. Violet is sick. Violet has a lot of health issues, and she doesn't let those hold her back. In fact, she shuns the people who tell her by the middle of the book. In the beginning of the book, she does listen to them and let them tell her she can't do this. She can't be a dragon rider. But by the middle of the book, she fights back and says, listen, I can freaking do this. Like, I do believe I'm not going to do it the same way that Susie Bet over there is going to do it. Like, I can't just go into the ring and duke it out and beat bitches' asses. I can't do that. But I'm smart, and I can think on my feet, and I can come up with ways to defeat these people without having to use my fists and my knees all the time. Will I learn to use my body as a weapon? Because that's what you're here to do at Vasquez War College? Yeah, I will. But I'm also smart enough to know how to figure out some secret cutaways, right? So that is one of the things I love about Violet as a character. Xaden Ryerson is such a good male MC for a YA fantasy book. Like, he is everything. He is the rebel. He is the dark and brooding bad boy that you think is really, bad, but turns out to be really the hero of the book. He never once tells Violet that she can't do something. And Vax loves her and respects her more for the fact that she doesn't take the easy road. It's just an incredible book, and I love dragons. If you didn't know that about me, now you do know. Give me a dragon, and I am most likely going to absolutely love it. Um, my birthday's coming up, and there are on Etsy these little hatch eggs that have like different colored dragons inside them that you can hatch. And I just really want some really badly. They're so adorable. I might have to buy myself some of these little dragon eggs, but we'll see because I am going on a massive, massive trip. Literally returning home like 3 days before my birthday. Because I don't know. So that's going to be like, this trip is going to be lumped up as part of my birthday too. So we'll see. But I love dragons. Fourth Wing, once again, chef's kiss. That is my YA pick of the year. I've read some good ones. I love From Blood and Ash. I love Ledge. I have read a lot of good YA this year. But Fourth Wing is at the top of that list for a few different reasons. It's just got my heart. And then, finally, my most recent read, Love Theoretically, got a 5+ for me. Because I think it is rom-coms at its best. I read a good bit of Tessa Bailey. I read Ali Hazelwood. I read a good little bit of rom-coms. And I think that, I don't think every one of Ali Hazelwood's books is a 5+. I think that there are a few that I would give a 4 and a few that I would give a 5. I think she has finally hit her stride and really figured out what we want out of these STEM romances. We want characters that we can relate to and are quirky without just being like they are reciting the encyclopedia. And yeah, I really think Ali Hazelwood has hit her stride as far as books go and doing this STEM romance thing really, really well. It hurt me in my soul not to give Happy Place a 5+. But I just couldn't. It wasn't a 5+ for me. You guys know I love Emily Henry. And I have other books of hers that I have read in previous years. Last year, I would have given last year Book Lovers a 5+. But I read it last year, so I can't put it in my 2023 5+. And Happy Place wasn't a 5+ for me. So yeah, if I went back and did 5+s from 2022, Emily Henry's Book Lovers would be on that list. I absolutely sobbed in that book. But unfortunately, this is 2023. Her 2023 release, Happy Place, it wasn't a 5+ for me. So give me a second. I need to make sure I didn't miss anything. And then we'll close this one out. Nope, that was all of my 5+s. I have a lot of 5s in there. Let me know if you want me to talk about my 5-star reads. But this video was strictly for those 5-star pluses, which is Way of Kings, Words of Radiance, Outlander. Even though it was a reread, I counted it. Then you've got Fourth Wing and Love Theoretically. Those were my 5+ reads so far this year. And Night Road. Sorry, there was 6. There was 6. And I thought that those 6 books were just incredible. I thought that, if the standard is 5 of a great book, it went just a little bit above that standard. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. And I love you all so, so much. Mwah! I will see you guys on Saturday. I think on Saturday we're going to talk about what I am stuffing my Kindle with for my vacation. I'll be 14 days, a lot of it without Wi-Fi, so I'm downloading a bunch of my books that I have in my library. If you don't know how a Kindle works, like your library is always there. Your Amazon Kindle library is always there, but each device needs to have it downloaded. So we're going to download everything I hope to select from to read on my vacation. So stay tuned on Saturday. We're going to do that.